The Hellfire Gala is the only happy time of the year. Why we gotta make it so dark? Why can't we just be happy? Why can't we just
I
have a
know.
nice party? It's always gotta be drama.
Just have some harmless fun and turn
Just
it into
pure
drama.
innocent fun. And they turn it into drama. Somebody always get murdered in here. What's going on?
Yeah. Well, the X-Men don't. Thank you.
Very nice. Very gay. For Pride
You
Month.
know.
The LGBTQ.
Yes. And speaking of, welcome back to another episode of another relaunch. I am Mr. Bobby Drake, Iceman.
Classic. A
You
classic
know,
character. I love Iceman. I'm
he's
gonna tell you
great.
right now. But I am Ileana Rasputin, aka Magic.
Oh, okay. Miss Portals. I know that's right.
Miss Portals.
Portals to the bank.
That's funny. They actually came in handy this week. We're gonna talk about that a little bit later when we get to the comic section. But she did something, so I said, you know what? We'll give her her props.
Jeez. She can't
Okay.
spell, but she's
She has good
she's
powers.
fine. She's a cool girl.
Convenient. Anyways, how are
Her powers
you?
are cool. I'm great. I am still wishing there was a lot better weather out here in LA. Look like we just not gonna have a summer,
Yeah.
I guess.
What's going
So
on out there? Well, you know the
I don't
skies were
know.
orange here over the last few days because the Canadian
Right.
wildfires were like coming happening, and so like it was obviously really bad in New York, but like it got down here. I was even talking to my grandfather in North Carolina. He was talking about how he was dealing with some of it. You could smell it. One of the days was my birthday, so it was like you went outside and the sky was on fire, and I was like, it's lit, literally.
The world is truly dying.
It is, but try
It's
and have
like
a
that
little fun.
Barbie when she was like, "Do you guys ever think about death?"
Not Barbie all the time.
But yeah, other than that, I've been good. Just working, living, trying to do right.
That's that's what everybody says. And whenever somebody asks you, know, I said, what else can you say? Because that's really all we have been doing. But I think
I'm
that's.
trying.
I was
How are
watching.
you?
I was watching. I'm good. I was watching this movie called Renfield. It's about a vampire, Dracula, and his servant Renfield. Obviously, it has Nicolas Cage, Nick Holt, and Aquafina.
Obviously, who was that obvious to? His son is named Redfield.
Oh. I don't know. I guess I've just been really
I didn't
familiar
even know
with like
that.
Dracula and the vampire stories. I guess that's not as obvious, but to those who are, yes, it is. But nonetheless, it was actually really good. I kind of like didn't want to watch it when it originally came out because I'm not a huge Nick Holt believer. Like I know a lot of people like him. Like he's just okay to me, and then
Oh,
it had
that
Aquafina.
movie with
Yeah,
um Nicolas
Aquafina.
Cage.
Nicholas Cage, yeah.
Did you say that?
Anyways, it
I'm
was
still
like
caught on that Renfield thing. I was like, who the fuck is
now
that?
you know. You should watch it. It's on Peacock. It's really good. Aquafina honestly didn't bother me in it as much as like I thought she was going to. She's kind of actually been that way in the last like three roles she's been in. I don't know why she's trying to turn the ship around. It's probably because Gina Rodriguez made her an appearance again, and so we had to shift our focus back to her. But
I didn't
it
mind
was.
her as Scuttle.
I Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of people say that.
I didn't mind her in Shang-Chi.
Yeah, I didn't mind her in that either. And you know, I really love Crazy Rich Asians, which is another movie she's in.
Right.
So, I don't know. She might be turning her ship around.
Hmm.
That's crazy.
Speaking of Nicolas Cage, though, I went to the Summer Game Fest.
Hmm?
Ditched work and decided to go instead. Instead.
He's joking. He was sick.
Right. But I went to the Summer Game Fest and Nicolas Cage showed up. They brought him out for during the Dead by Daylight's like segment. He's gonna be a character in that as Nicolas Cage, and he's
I would have screamed. I love
really has a
Nicolas
skin.
Cage.
It was really cool when he walked out. I was not expecting that. I did
Have
see
you-
the Mortal Kombat gameplay, like the in that trailer live. That was hot. That was hot.
That gameplay was so amazing. I am so
It was so
excited.
cool to be in that room and like see that. That was so cool.
Like everybody looks so good. The fighting looked great. It looked good. The Nicolas Cage thing is also really cool. Like I love him. Have you ever seen this movie called Face Off with him and John Travolta?
Oh yes, I have. Yes.
Oh my gosh, I had that movie on VHS, and baby, when I tell you, I would watch it every single
My dad
day.
loved that movie.
Like I love that movie.
I think
Okay.
I bought that for him for like Father's Day one year when I was like 11.
That movie, like they get their faces off and they like switch, and it is like they start fighting. There's this like one scene towards the end where it's like the big shootout there in the church, and he's like coming through and the music is playing and like these birds are like flying through. It's cinema. It's like real life cinema. One of the best movies out there. And there's also this movie on Netflix. It's called Jiu-Jitsu. It also has Nicolas Cage. It's kind of a horrible movie, but it's so
Okay.
it's so good. They're like fighting this alien who comes to Earth through a comet every 6 years.
Okay.
And they like have this group of people who like train to fight this alien, and like the one year he comes through, the guy who's like supposed to fight him chickens out and runs. And so then he gets found on by this army base, and so the aliens come, and so they're just fighting him. He's killing people. It's really good. The fighting's amazing. Nicolas Cage is in it. He's crazy. There's this girl who has these 2 axes. She looks hot. I'm not gonna tell you what happens to her because I want you to watch.
Okay, maybe I'll check it out. It's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix. It's a great little thing to watch if you're doing something else. You need a little background movie. You're gonna get sucked in. It's good. Frank Grillo is in it. That's its one minus, but
Oh him, yeah.
oh,
I feel like didn't he end up being like a bad person?
very, very.
Right.
But he keeps getting work, so I don't know what to say.
I think I remember like a clip of him saying like something about black people.
Yeah, it
Something
wasn't
about
good.
like Italians or something.
And like all the other Marvel actors were there too, and like
they were like,
they
were like, whoa.
no. They're like, Chris
I think
Evans
he
was
said
like,
something
God,
that Chris
I don't
Evans
think
was like, why did you say it like that?
it's not good. He's not a good person. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do? Anyway, so this week there weren't any updates, child. You know, strike going on. Nothing's really happening. I will say I know that there has been a talks of the actors also joining the strike. So that's SAG-AFTRA, and there was like a 97% approval rating of the actors deciding to also go on strike. And if they go, it really ain't nothing.
I think everybody should go on strike from everything. I think we should go on strike from paying rent. I think we should go on strike from paying our bills. I think we should go on strike from just like, I don't know, whatever people need to go on strike for. Let's go on strike for.
I agree. Let's just end it. I've always wondered what would happen if we just stopped.
Shut it all down. Shut it down. Just stop everything. Let's really reassess what we're doing here.
We were
okay?
almost there. We were almost there. We experienced it a little bit during the pandemic where we just were like, what if we just like took a halt for a second?
And you remember how they were like, the air was so much cleaner, the animals were coming back out, like people were happy, people were learning how to
Remember when
bake.
people got like COVID checks and people were like able to live?
Everybody was like learning a new skill. People was coming out the pandemic like, oh, I'm like baking banana bread. I'm trying to learn the
Oh my God, the banana bread.
the banana bread, child. I'll never get that. But we did get the Is It Cake videos, and I'll always support those. Those were
that is something we should maybe try to bring back, you know.
I also support all
Supports.
like pandemic dress wear of like giving that Mad Max Doom type of feel. We're walking around with like masks and full body suits. Like I love all of that stuff. There's this video that I love. I talk about it all the time. It's these 3 girls and they're walking around in these like skin tight leather fallout outfits, and they're just like having a girl's day out.
Okay.
I think it's amazing. There was that one video during Easter, one of the pandemic years, where it was in New Orleans, and the guy had on a rabbit's costume, and he's like skipping down Bourbon Street with this sword, singing Peter Cottontail, opening bottles of champagne, and it is like the most cryptic thing I had ever seen in my entire life. I absolutely loved it. I actually had that video saved in my phone. I might post it soon. Check this
A
out.
sword?
It was amazing. He's just
Kind
cleaving.
of cool.
It was like the greatest thing I've ever seen. Like all pandemic media, like if it was given that type of feel, I love it. Again, this when the skies were orange, I was like, yes, I got a mask.
I can see the aesthetic. I usually like the future tech, sci-fi.
Yeah,
Let it
flying
and
cars.
put it flying
Get
cars,
to the
chips in your head and
streets.
shit. All of that. I want
Get to the
that.
streets where the heroes are.
Oh,
I
tech
say
me
that.
down.
I say that like I wouldn't be like corporate stuff. It doesn't.
Well, on that note, y'all, let's go ahead and take a break, and then we'll come right back.
Ooh. Anyways, hello everybody, and welcome back to another week with another pull of comics. It was kind of hefty this week, but everything was, good. So let's get into a couple of things. Our mentions: Poison Ivy 13. That came from G. Willow Wilson and Marcel Takara. It continues to be a great read. It was a date night between Harley and Ivy, so if you want to see what's going on there. And I have become very much a supporter of Harley Ivy in recent years, I guess. I never really saw it for them.
Same.
I think a lot of it was always due to the fact that Ivy was being secondary to Harley's story. I like now because it actually feels equal. And I'm here for it. All my girls are gay. I kind of love that for me. Uh, the Magic Order 4 number 5 came out, and that continues to just be a really good magic story for everyone involved. X-Men Before the Fall Mutant First Strike number 1 came out from Steve Orlando. It was a one shot with the X books. I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of bored, but it had like some really nice themes in it with the mutants and how they're trying to be better and do better and like how they are better. Really good Bishop content after like that other book that was him that also came out and wasn't doing that great with him. I think this is probably like one of those times where it's like this is the type of characterization I would like for them to continue with him. So shout out to the book for that. But hitting our main series for the week, we'll start with your reread. We're at Annihilation Nova number 4 from Abnett and Lanning with Cat Walker on art, and this is the final issue of this. Yes.
Of the Nova um, miniseries, yes. So again, the Annihilation Wave is going to go through everybody's characters kind of out in the cosmic world. The next issue of the Annihilation story is Ronin. So we'll be following like what's going on with Ronin as the Annihilation Wave like hurdles through his section of the cosmos. So like
That's
create
the
all
one
the
with the
people.
hammer, right? And he
That's the one with
married
the
Crystal.
hammer. Yes, yes. Oh, you remember? Okay,
I know a little something, something.
okay. Okay. But yeah, so this issue opens up previously in the last one, Annihilus showed up to their planet. This refugee planet was called Nikos something, and they were basically trying to get all these refugees off the planet. Nova created this big wormhole for everyone to get through. So everyone on this planet in this issue was like trying to get out of the wormhole, but Annihilus showed up. He got his whole crew just like wrecking these ships like at the tail end while they're trying to work their way through the wormhole. Of course, Nova sees the annihilation wave, and he decides to just go off on his own. Now, I won't lie, he was kind of clearing it. There were a lot of ships up there, and he was kind of doing his thing. Now he was going off by himself, and Quasar was yelling like, "Don't do this by yourself. This is way too much. I can help you." Um, so they get up there, and Nova's like, I've been working with the World Mind. It told me that we can't even handle this assault. We need to like do something else because we can only do this for like maybe 10 minutes max before we both die. Quasar is like, well, if that's 10 minutes all we got, that's what we need to do. And we can just need to save these people. So they were trying to take out this annihilation wave while the refugees still kind of escaped through that wormhole. Drax is like, oh, if I wish I could fly, I would come up there and help you guys. But what you need to do is go after Annihilus. I know this is him. I know this is that annihilation wave. I already know why this is him. Also, like, this Drax is way cooler than the MCU. I'm sorry, the MCU Guardians are completely different than these characters. Like Drax is
Yeah, I
talking
say
about
that all the time. The
He
MCU.
talking about how like he was like a destroyer. People are like afraid of him. They hugging him in the MCU. They like father figure.
I think a big thing with me and the MCU Guardians has always been they always continue to like remind you that Drax is the destroyer, Gamora is the deadliest woman in the galaxy, but it has never felt like that at any point in time. Even I think a lot of times with, I will say the most recent one, I feel like Gamora finally got her little due as a Ravager, but I think they've just been so comedic and jokey. It's just never really clicked with me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Drax is cool though.
I mean he's kind of a little bit of a father figure in this to this Cammy girl. She's still like with him, and they
Well, the
decided to
sad
stay
dad
on
thing they
planet.
got right. You know, he loved his daughter.
That's true. He does. Yes. Another game. um. Anyway, they decided to stay on the planet, and they're like, we will try to see if they can help just in case anybody lands or whatever. Um, Quasar and Nova try to take the fight directly to Annihilus because they're like, that's just who we need to go ahead and go after. Annihilus is like, well, oh, let him come then. So he like tells all of the Annihilation Wave to change their patterns or whatever to basically clear a path. Let them come directly to me. They show up. They try to give a little bit of a fight. Quasar has his quantum field up, put this like force field in front of him, and Annihilus touches it and absorbs it. And basically, he had seen that the Nova Force and the quantum bands were out there. He was like, "Oh, dope! Those are two batteries for my quantum rod. Let's go ahead. I mean, my cosmic rod. Let me get them, absorb them, and I'll be even more powerful." So he starts to absorb the quantum energy from the quantum bands and then directly from Quasar himself, and Quasar dies. Then Nova tries to like jump in, get into a fight with him, but quickly gets overwhelmed and is about to die himself. His world mind helmet tells him, "You need to leave." But when they made the connection, when Annihilus tried to absorb Nova's energy, the world mind also accessed Annihilus. So he was like finding out information. He ended up turning all of the ships that were attacking that refugee planet against each other and killed all of them. Annihilus ends up like leaving. Nova is like floating off into space, barely almost dying. The Nova Force is trying to heal him, but Cammy and Drax end up picking him up on a rescue ship, and they're like, "We need to go figure out how to do something else." And Nova's like, "You know what, Drax, I need you to teach me how to become a destroyer." So that's where the issue ends. The next bit picks up with Ronan, so we'll be going off into his sector. It looks like at the end of this, Annihilus said like, "Oh, like there's nothing here anymore. Let's go to another different part of the cosmos." This was a fun
Is
issue. This is still like I think this is one of my favorite like Marvel events. The intensity of it all, the action of it all is really great. I was obviously upset with Quasar dying, but like it was kind of cool. Obviously, there needs to be some stakes here. I will say the art isn't that great. Not really feeling that, but I love the story.
I was just about to ask, is this Quasar death his like real final death, or I know obviously he pops back up in Ewing's Guardians that just
This
happened.
was his big. This was his big death.
Okay.
So like back in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Um, 2006. So back in 2006, yes, this was Quasar's like big death. He died in the Annihilation event.
And
He
so
ends
he
up
hadn't
coming
been
back
back
because
since
no,
that run, or did he come back in between?
he came back in War of Kings. I think that was just like a few years later, but he was only in a like a quantum form, just an energy form. He didn't have a body yet. And then he ended up going back to Earth and like no, I'm sorry. He ended up getting like a body randomly, comic books, like out in space.
You know they love
Something
putting
happened and
somebody
he
in
like,
somebody's body, child.
well, this was not that. this this was this was not that. We don't want those problems over here. He basically just
Same.
changed somehow his energy form changed into like a human body. He got his human body back.
Do you remember that? really old Superman issue where Lois like spends her day as a black woman.
Yes. With the pro.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
You know, you gotta love the
Different
show.
time. Different
Um,
time.
but so what would you like? You read this back then, or is this your first time reading
Yes.
like the Nova section now?
So I've this is my first time reading all of the Nova section. I read the issue before this because Quasar was on the cover. So I read that issue and then I read this issue when he died. Um, but this is my first time ever reading this entire mini. It does like fill in a lot of the blanks for me. It also like really shows you the scale of the Annihilation wave and just how dire it was. Um, Again, I love an enemy that just comes through and wreck shop. And he came from the negative zone and said, "I want all of this," and just started killing everybody.
That's fair.
He killed him. He killed the entire Nova Force.
You do love
They
someone
still
who
not
kills
back. They
everyone.
still aren't back. It's still just Nova by himself.
Isn't the little boy one too?
Yes, he's like the only one with another
You
helmet.
know who they need to bring back? They need to bring back Eve Bachman
Say
and Nova
it.
family from that Infinity Gauntlet miniseries during
Absolutely.
Battle Wars. Like they were it, and you know Eve exists because she was in Dugan's Guardians run, giving birth
Absolutely.
in her
Absolutely.
Nova suit. Like
Speak on it.
that's who they need to bring back. Let's get that on the docket. But
Hmm.
so what would you rate this issue?
Overall, I rate this issue a 3.5. Again, I was liking some of the art with the action stuff, but like some of the faces and stuff looked a little wonky. And I wasn't too great with that, but the story was still great. And again, I'm really liking this like cosmic event, seeing Annihilation, Annihilus just
Okay.
wreck shop. I've
Uh,
never read the Ronin mini, so that'll be interesting.
Tell me what
It's all
Crystal
Kree stuff.
if
Crystal
she
probably
showed
will
me.
show up.
So that's the thought. But so continuing your reread, the next book on our list is The Authority #6 from Warren Ellis and Bryan Hitch. Go ahead, give us
Okay, so this issue was again more fun. I'm really enjoying the Authority. And side note, I've heard some rumors that the Authority are actually going to be in Superman Legacy, the new
mm-hmm.
DC
I heard that too.
movie.
I
That
don't
a
know
few
if I
of them
believe
might
that.
be.
It's gonna
They
be
said
midnight.
only a few, not everybody. It's gonna be Midnight on Apollo
I was about to say
probably.
so it's midnight on Apollo and like maybe
Yeah,
him.
exactly. We know who it is, but whatever. Um, I wonder if they're gonna just say that they used like Kryptonian stuff to make Apollo.
Oh, I hope not.
I hope not either.
That sounds awful. Don't speak things like that into the
Let me not say that. Anyway, let me just get into the issue. So this issue opens up and it's kind of a little bit of a flashback where you see Jenny Sparks. She's like riding this um, like big giant spaceship and how she's talking about in the 1920s how things were, and then because she's lived for a very long time as this like living electricity. And then we see in the 50s that she was a part of this group, like this British intelligence group that did not like communicate a lot of stuff with the US, but they had already like made alien contact. And like it was a thing between these two people. So we see this flashback and you kind of see that, oh, Jenny knows some stuff that what's going on because in the last issue, remember, they were just attacked. LA was like destroyed again by these invaders. Now, fast forward to this issue, we're seeing the invasion still going through, and who's clearing it? Apollo. Wrecking Shop. Again, all the other team members are also doing some really cool stuff as well. Midnighter, and I shouldn't call him City Boy. His name is
end.
Jack Hawksmoor. Yes. um, they are like, oh, the shaman, who's the magic user, he had been turning a bunch of the big ships into flowers, and one ship was about to crash into this building, and they were like, "Wait, don't do it! Like, let it crash. The building's already empty." Um, they let it crash because they were like, "We want to go beat the people up inside, and that's how we'll get some information on who these people are." So Midnighter has this really cool like fight scene where he tells this guy, um, I am here. I'm not going to kill you, but I will let you know that you'll discover that you can live through your eyes bursting like water balloons. So, like, Midnight is very violent and not afraid to kind of make some people scared with what he will do to you. And they end up interrogating some people. They find out who the villain is. It's someone that Jenny Sparks had already known. She gives this whole flashback with everyone and telling them how, like, in like the 1500s, this other universe met with aliens already. And that's how, like, but they had like this big technological like exchange and things weren't bad between them. And that happened in like the 1500s. And flash forward to like the 1900s, things were fine with them. Then there was this like disease that they tried to like purge off from their universe by putting it into another one. Now she's explaining how like they're trying to invade their current universe and she knows who they are. By the end of the issue, she says, you know, I know someone who is an alien from that other universe because I had already experienced this before back in the 1920s. And it turns out it was her first husband. Now that I say that, she didn't say ex-husband. She said first. It must have, I wonder if there were others.
Always
which makes sense. Whenever they have characters, you know, that like are immortal, they always take husbands and wives, plenty of them.
It's either they got a whole bunch or like the one that they had was murdered, and so they've never loved anybody again. It's like, which one you want?
That is very true. But yeah, that's how the issue ends. So we're going to be seeing more about how, you know, Jenny had this first husband who was an alien from another universe, and he's like locked up in this like jail cell. But I will say that this issue has been fantastic. I really liked the action stuff with Apollo, obviously, in the beginning, as well as some of the stuff that Midnighter was doing, working with City Boy. Y'all know who I'm talking about. And
you could just call him Jack. I don't get it.
And Jenny Sparks did this really cool thing where she's living in electricity, so she like used her body and transmitted it across a bunch of the frequencies, the electric frequencies of all these planes, and like destroyed a bunch of them, as well as sent out a message to them. So I thought that was really, really cool. This is still had better art than what I remember Hitch doing before. Like
this is
I've been liking it.
Hitch on the map. Like people was like,
I can see why. I can see why.
Okay. Well, that's cool. What would you rate it?
I would give this one. I would give this issue a 3.5 out of 5.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, and moving on back. They are. Everyone should get into them before the movie comes out. And then read Superman the Authority too. That was good. And moving on to the present and getting into our main books of the we have Immortal X-Men number 12, and that is from Kieran Gillen and Lucas Werneck. And you read this week, didn't you?
Yeah, child.
I'm ready to talk about that. All right, so we start out with the data page in this book. You know, it's titled The Idiot. It is talking about Shaw and Colossus having their own little meeting and discussing a plan that they're going to set in motion. So then we move on to the next day. We see that we're in the council, as we always are, and the people who are potentially Sinisterized still have to leave the council because Shaw wants to have a very important meeting. We find out that Selene has been resurrected, and they are once again voting to put her on the council. Kate is in there. She's like, obviously nobody's going to want to do this, but then Colossus speaks up, and he's like, I think it's a good idea. She is taken aback. Selene is in there gagging everybody, talking like, you know, I got to get my pitch again. Destiny's signed to say that Shaw works for Orchis, so they call in Rasputin, who is still just hanging around for some reason. And she struts in to read his mind, says that he's not working for Orchis. Outside, while all of this is going on, the council members who had to leave are sitting there. They're the 4 telepaths. Well, 3 telepaths and Hope. And, you know, she's like, we can't listen in, and Xavier's telling them how that's not what they do because they're good people, but Hope is obviously not a good person, so she just decides to do it anyway. She feels like, okay, this is what's going on, so she runs to the meeting. Who she run back into? Miss Rasputin. They start fighting, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not really here for the Chimera, but if she's gonna beat Hope up, I'll let her stick around. I'll stick around.
Get it from me.
Okay, like a couple of times. Mother Righteous sitting on the side listening to everything that's going on. Emma also tries to listen in. Xavier and her get into their own little psychic battle. Exodus is like, this is a mess. Next thing you know, you get big balls of lightning. Who comes in? The HBIC herself, Storm.
Exodus teleported her in. He said, "Hell no, I don't know somebody in
Like,
this."
is that how his teleportation powers work? You know, I always forget that he has those. Like every time you say it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that makes so much more sense because he does teleport. It's just such a random power for him to have. I don't know why. Um,
It is. Some like to say that it's. They never really explained it before, but some like to say it's like the extension of his telekinesis. Like it's like because he's an omega level, like his telekinesis is what's giving him this ability to teleport. Either A, he is reaching out and just pulling someone to him that fast, or he's like telekinetically ripping wormholes and, you know, making teleportation an ability for him with telekinesis.
that's a lot going on.
Or they just say it's a separate power and he just has a
He just
teleportation power.
teleports. It's a lot
Yeah.
going on regardless. But Storm pops in, you know, Destiny and Mystique leave. They're like, it's too much drama. They have their own drama that they're going through. Destiny, Mystique reveals to
Like the
Destiny,
gays
like,
do.
all the time, and during Pride Month at that. And you know, they're talking about how she knows about what Destiny did, like in the universe, and all this stuff about Destiny trying to keep her alive. And Destiny's like, "That's what we do." And Mystique is like, "I'm not your puppet. No matter what's supposed to happen, like we make our own choices." Mother Righteous again. She got Mystique under her palm, so she possesses her. I guess you know when Mother Righteous gets her powers when people tell her thank you. Mystique said thank you. She controls her. She uses her to kill Destiny. Destiny has to be resurrected, thus making her ineligible to be a part of council votes because she could possibly have the Sinister gene, so she's out. Colossus comes back in. We're in our next council meeting, and he's saying he wants to tell the world about the sins of Sinister universe. And the vote goes through. Him and Storm have a moment. This entire issue is narrated by Colossus. And for those who don't know, over in X Force, Colossus has been compromised by his brother Mikhail. He is like a spy infiltrating Krakoa, trying to help burn it all down and destroy the nation. And so, like, a lot of the stuff that's going on with him, we see his like inner dialogue about nobody notices how I'm acting and how this is different and how he's trying to like push parts of himself and bits of himself in there to still try and like help and make people notice and how it's not really working. And it kind of goes into like a lot of the stuff that we've been hearing with these people in these books about how they're not really paying attention to everything that's going on and how it's just about them. Even Storm, just last issue, what was Emma saying to her? It took you 5 years to notice something was wrong. Here's Colossus like begging from the inside, screaming like, "Notice I'm not right. Notice I'm right." And Storm's just like, "All right, I hope you know what you're doing." And
She did ask
you
him like,
know,
"Oh, what's going on with you?" He was like, "Well, why you don't know?"
yeah, you know what I'm saying. So it's just really interesting thing to see with him. Again, I'm catching up on X Force and Marvel Unlimited. This Colossus plot has come up. I will say that this is probably like the most interesting I've seen of it so far. I think Gillen did in one issue with Colossus what Percy has been trying to do this entire time. It hasn't really like clicked fully, and I think it's just because he got that narration. That in the narration really
The internal
helps.
dialogue helps. It really does. I think that
Well,
like having that with someone who's like possessed really helps like what the character is doing instead of you just saying like, "Oh, there's this plot device of a possessed character," you know they're the bad guy.
yeah. All in all, I will say I think the issues continue to be something that's well written. I will always kind of stand on the hill that I don't think the council needs a book. I think that a lot of this is kind of just us going in circles, and I get that. Like that's supposed to be the dynamic of it. It's just like a lot of people who have their own selfish needs doing like their selfish things and fighting each other about it. I would still like to see a little bit more like policy of them actually doing something though, and
Hmm.
like having like, okay, yes, we got all this chaos going in the background, but we're also still managing to like get this done or get this set up, and it never really goes that way. And even the things that they vote on are just, and like I also think the whole thing about bringing people into the council and voting them on, I read Inferno, and I feel like and this might just be me, but I feel like what Hickman did with that team, not that team, but like the council group in Inferno was basically say that like this is a burden of the state. We do not want to bring other people into this. We are the only ones who can know this. We are taking that on ourselves. We have built the walls high. We have trapped ourselves in them. We don't want to do this with other people. And then like Gillen immediately opens up his Immortal book with like them holding,
who wanna join?
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like who's coming in here now? And it's just weird because you put it in the sense of like, okay, so we are going to potentially bring other people in here who can like help do other things and make things better, but then no one actually does that. And then even when you bring Celine on, it's just like, when has Celine ever succeeded at anything? Cause she know magic, okay, so does magic. That don't make her useful either, allegedly.
Whoa,
I'm sorry, she teleports.
whoa. How magic catches stray? How's she in there? Talking about
regardless
Celine.
regardless, I don't know. I think the
I
book is
think that I
fine.
think that maybe the council probably just needs to be either just done with or maybe just shown in a different light. I like you said, I personally thought that there was going to be a lot more um like these like machinations between each character about how they're trying to either um, better Krakoa or make it worse, however, whatever their stories are. But it's just been everybody going around in a circle talking about who they are as a character, like we don't already know that, and
It's musical
arguing about
chairs.
Sinister.
They will not stop talking about Sinister. But he was everywhere, so I get it.
And then, like you said, it's also musical chairs. They get into an argument, somebody leaves, and then the second one says, "Oh, okay, well, let's vote for a new person then," and then the
So,
next person leaves.
something that we said we wasn't gonna do. Well, at least now I think they finally gotten to the point where they realize they can't like kick anybody else out of the council because it just really does look bad. But also, I don't know. I don't know. It's fine, I guess.
How do the people feel about this?
I don't even think the people know that there's like a council in existence. When did they come out this room?
That's a good point. They don't.
When was the last
They
time
say
you saw
meet, big
Xavier
and
walking
turn,
around
and
the
then
alley?
turn right back around.
Xavier got shot in the head the first week of Krakoa. He has not left that council since.
I mean, he probably spooked.
Like they're not doing all of that. It's not time for
He's
that.
probably spooked. He probably was like, never mind. I don't need to come outside.
All in all, I think the issue was fine. I'm kind of still like not the biggest fan of Werneck's pencils. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think they're like serviceable. I think he does a good job. I think some of the proportions look a little weird sometimes. But like early on in the first half of the issue, like I was looking at Shaw, and it was like a flat head. And some of those panels were like kind of like her leg. It was just it is what it is. The faces, the girls are pretty though. Storm looked nice when she walked in or teleported into the scene. I thought that was cool. I think that Hope being Hope was very in character for her. Not gonna lie, I was rooting for Chimera, even
Mhm.
though she's still around too. And I don't know why we just letting her read everybody's mind. It's just like okay,
They just trust her, I guess,
we just
because
trust her. Like it's like the council is so strange. I trust the strangest people.
you trust Sinister's old general
And
from
Mother
another
Right,
timeline.
this lady who walking in here don't got no shoes on. I don't know. I would give
Not
it a
the brightest.
3.5 out of 5.
I'd give it 3 out of 5. It wasn't
Okay.
bad.
All right. 3 out of 5. And our final book of the week, X-Men 23, and that comes from Jerry Duggan and Joshua Cassara. And this is the X-Men year 2. They're taking it. They're coming towards the end though, so I'm gonna miss this team a lot. Again, with this book, we start out with Sinister and Mother Righteous, and we find out that
Ugh.
they're everywhere. Um, We find out that Mother Righteous is actually not a Sinister clone like we believe. She was actually the original Nathaniel Essex's wife. She is Rebecca Essex. How she's got to be Miss Sinister, excuse me, Mother Righteous is like still in question, but she talks to the Sinister, who is also Dr. Stasis, about like how you think you're the original, but you're not, and I know why, and blah blah blah. He's going to be under her thumb now as well. Then we get back to the main issue. Our X-Men are fighting a giant Stark Sentinel that has been attacking some firefighters who are rescuing a burning building. This was a plan set in motion by Orcus. They are pretty much trying to control the media and narrative around the X-Men and the mutants. They make it seem as though that the X-Men randomly attacked the Sentinel while it was trying to save the firefighters and the people during this crisis, which of course didn't happen. But the issue was just basically one big battle with the X-Men and the Sentinel. It was really good. We got to see them doing some cool stuff with their powers. Magic especially had the big moment where she kind of like sent the Sentinel away in pieces. um Firestar kind of like was doing her leadership thing, which I thought was really great. Again, one of the things that I've been loving about her on this team is how she is learning to work within a team in a mutant confines in a way that she hasn't had before on her other teams, and that's been cool to see. I also love the idea of like Cyclops testing everybody's leadership ability. Like, this is kind of like, we all know the X-Men at this point is like a temp job. You're gonna be here for a year, and then you're gonna go do something else. But while you're here, you're gonna get your skills, and I really do appreciate that. Ford continues to be a standout character.
Come
We
on,
continue.
corporation.
Okay, corporate scum. um, we deal with the tension of Jean and Scott in battle. You know, they are still on the outs from their whole thing with the Brood. Jean makes an abuse joke about how she's the only one who gets to beat up Cyclops. I don't know if people were supposed to laugh at that. She seems kind of nasty to me. But other than that, the team does good. Orcus kind of like succeeds in what they were doing because, of course, the media is going to always hate the mutants. And the issue ends off with Emma talking to Fisk, who is now a resident of Krakoa due to his marriage to Typhoid Mary. And Scott runs into her. He's like, "I got your message. I know you heard that me and Jean are out." He's assuming he's there for a booty call. And Emma's like, "No, that's not why I called you here. Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, is dead." Scott falls to his knees and was like, "I'm sure that
She was
changes
like, not
things."
my homegirl.
She's like, "I'm sure that changes things. I'm sorry about you and Jean." She walks off. The issue ends. It was hot. Year two takes it.
Cyclops was like, well, what else would I be coming to you for? Wait.
This is the relationship that people love. Skeleton.
Wow.
He only see her for one thing. You don't want to tell. He's damn, like she couldn't even get a dinner.
No.
He came to the beach in his poom poom shorts and his slides.
He said, I know you heard me and Jean on the house, so.
I know that's why you calling me. It's sick. Scott Summers is a nasty man. He's gonna get what's coming.
I mean, and I mean that means there's precedent for her having made the call. So let's not. Okay, it can't always just be on him. She was there too.
I mean, I'm not gonna defend Emma Frost. Okay, like
I'm just saying.
You're right. Okay. But you read this too, didn't you? What did you think of this issue?
I did, yes. I thought it was okay. I had caught up with the X-Men because I had dropped it after the first 12. No, I stayed till 15 or 16. To have one year two started. Then I kind of fell off of it and I caught up again. And it was okay. I don't know how I liked the way that the X-Men fought the Sentinel. I think I would have preferred to see them not just instantly lose each time the Sentinel did something. I understand the robot having different, countermeasures for all of the X-Men, but it would have been cool to see the X-Men use their own ingenuity to try to defeat it, rather than just like brute force at the end with magic. I think it would have been cool to see how they could kind of come around whatever kind of.
I get what you're saying, but I don't know. I like the brute force sometimes too. Sometimes that's just what gets the job done. And I've always kind of appreciate the adaptive capabilities of like the Sentinels and stuff like that to make it a little bit harder for the
Yes.
Speaking of, I even like thing I didn't talk about how when they were talking with Orcus and they were like, they're trying to draw blood, but they still weren't able to get Jean. And Nimrod was like, leave the Omegas to me. So it sounds like she got to come up with something quick, or a lot of the Omegas do, because he's coming.
He is. Yes, it looks like he's probably going to be crashing the Hellfire Gala,
You
coming
know,
after those Omegas.
the Hellfire Gala is the only happy time of the year. Why we gotta make it so dark? Why can't we just be happy? Why can't we just
I
have a
know.
nice party? It's always gotta be drama.
Just have some harmless fun and turn
Just
it into
pure
drama.
innocent fun, and they turn it into drama. Somebody always get murdered in here. What's going on?
Yeah. Well, the X-Men don't always get along, and you put them all in one room together, get them liquored up,
Clearly, even without the
drama gets to
liquor,
happening.
they
Even
stabbing
without
each
the
other
liquor.
after a meeting. Like, what are you talking about? Jean slapped her husband in front of everybody. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what's going on? Let us have this one night. No, Nimrod's
No,
coming.
they bringing Big Daddy. I'm excited
Apocalypse
for
is
that
coming
though. He's
back
one of
though,
my
so
favorite villains.
he's gonna whip
Big
it back
Daddy
in
eight.
shape.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. But overall, I don't know.
I wouldn't mind that for Apocalypse being like, that
Nimrod's
should make that a
villain.
thing. No, not Nimrod's villain. Oh, that wouldn't be bad either. But like, I wouldn't mind if he was like, oh, Apocalypse is back. Time to prove we worthy. If that becomes like a thing, if he's always going to be out on Ameth with his wife or
It's
whatever,
T. It's like you know how when you
a
used
new
to
X of
work
Swords
somewhere
every time.
and you would have like your little part-time job or something, you had that one boss who you knew when they came around, you better have been working or at least looking like you was working. That's
Hmm.
Apocalypse.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that being a thing. Anyway, I would have. I like the issue. I rated probably a 3.5 out of 5.
I'd give it like a 3.82. I really appreciate it. I really like what this team is doing. I'm gonna be sad to see them go. I've really been enjoying year two. Year three is right around the corner. I'm
Mm,
excited to see who stays, who goes. If Nimrod is coming to crash the party, like what's gonna happen? How they gonna act?
yeah,
They got to get information. I'm enjoying Firestar on the team. I do think she'll make it to year three, just because I feel like they've really kind of cemented that she is trying to be like Miss Mutant and doing what she needs to do. So,
hmm
Sink and Talon, I see them staying. Jane Scott, it's
they
looking
going through
iffy.
us. This is a little rocky right now. I
It's
like their
looking iffy.
relationship,
Sink might have to
so
pull rank and cut them. So,
maybe that's wild. They started the team and they fell apart.
that's Gina Scott. But
Wow.
those are our books of the week. We'll go ahead and take a break and then we'll come on back.
I liked her Young Justice version.
She's hot. I was just going through some of my old tweets when I was talking about her, and I found that, and I was talking about how I think we had literally just did a reread of Under the Red Hood or something like that, and she had appeared,
Hmm.
and then she showed up in the episode, and then I found out she was also in the Suicide Squad one. I
Oh,
saw on
she
Arkham,
is.
I think it is the
Oh,
Batman one. Yeah, she's in
she
that
was
one.
in that. Okay, cool. We should probably watch that
She's
eventually.
kind of a hot girl. Onyx got it, which
Alex has got it.
you know, I've been at the Church of Onyx for a while, so it's like anyone who wants to support Onyx, you can go and read Teenie Howard's Catwoman right now. She is there, appearing in multiple issues.
I'm there. I like her a lot. I don't really get down with the street girls like that, but like she's hot. I like her.
You always say that, but
I know, but then where I be like her. Honestly, it's not the street girls. I like some of them. It's the magic. Now that
yeah, you always
I
say that too. But we also know the truth about
don't
that.
know. I don't know about that one. But anyway, all right. So this week, y'all, welcome back to the watch section of the show, and we watched Justice League episodes 8 and 9. And so this week, I'm going to just read the like synopsis of it, and then we'll just talk about both episodes. So the episodes were directed by Bitch Lukic and they were written by Stan Berkowitz. They came out in September of 2002. So the description of them says exposed as a criminal sentenced to prison and terminally ill due to long-term kryptonite exposure, Lex Luthor escapes and assembles a supervillain team, the Injustice Gang, to take on the Justice League. The gang consists of Cheetah, Star Sapphire, Shade, Copperhead, Ultra Humanite, and Solomon Grundy. Joker also becomes part of the team on his own initiative and due to his expertise on Batman, despite Luthor's dismay due to the failure of the past alliance. I think this is like a little tie-in. Anyway, even with their combined power, the gang proves no match for Batman's guile. So this episode was, I thought, kind of one of the weaker ones for me. I wasn't that into it, which is wild because my favorite like villain group of like DC is like the Injustice League. I love the Legion of Doom. They're my
I've never
favorite
noticed
Justice
that.
League villains. Yeah, they're my favorite Justice League villains. I like when the heroes have like another group to fight, and then we see how they team up and how they work
That
together,
I
uh,
do.
and how they work together to kind of take down the heroes and like the heroes and vice versa. So like the Legion of Doom and Justice League are my favorite kind of group there, but for them and this one, I don't know. I just thought it was just okay.
It was very bleak and kind of sad. I don't know. I think anytime you get something that focuses on the villains, it can kind of go any either way. I think this is like obviously a sadder case because of why this team is being formed and like all the
Hmm.
things that are happening to Lex. I will say though, this was probably like you said 2002. I wasn't really reading too much
2002.
DC back then, especially, and if I was, it was Aquaman related. So I don't know too much about the Green Lanterns and I didn't know too much about what they fight. So this cartoon was my first exposure to Star Sapphire, and when I tell you that that
And you were
design, like
standing
her
down.
whole look, like it has stuck with me my entire life. Whenever anybody talks about Star Sapphire, I instantly think about this cartoon. And I know we'll get to it later, but especially the episode where it was the girls' focus and like she
That's
takes
the
on
next one.
Scarasia. Yeah, it was it was it. That's the dome.
Hmm. I had already known about Starfire at this point, and I don't like that lady, so I didn't. It was interesting to see this though because for me, for some reason in this, they kind of seemed like she was like a new character. Like some of her interactions, I was like, why does she seem like she doesn't even know who John is?
Yeah.
But like, um,
I feel
they
like
kind of treat.
I'm trying to think of her appearances. I feel like they didn't really ever talk about her and John having any type of relationship, did they?
No, they never did. Even though they had them fight each other a bunch of times in this, because obviously they're both like
Yeah.
those powers are what you put against each other. But like they're both a part of like galactic cores. You would
She was
think
like,
that like
well, she didn't date him, so what else they had to talk about?
right. Um, and in this universe, she hadn't killed his wife yet. But um, I thought that the like episode overall was just okay, but I did like some of the writing and stuff for the choices for the characters. Batman using his, sweet talk to kind of work Cheetah was really great. Seeing that in comparison to Superman and Flash trying to interrogate, I think Ultra Humanite, or was it? It was Copperhead who was in prison, and I thought that was like kind of fun. Um, and then the ending of it all when the heroes beat all the villains and everyone's getting arrested and Ultra Humanite is like, "Hey, you still gonna honor our deal?" Batman's like, of course, double what Lex was paying you. He's like, all right, bet. And sure enough, that's how they won the day. A
One
check.
thing, because hey, what makes the world go round? Money. One thing I will say though, I think I really like Ultra Humanite. Like just
Really?
as a villain. I think about times when he's popped up in different things. He's just sassy, mean, funny, and I think I like him a lot more than I do Gorilla Grodd.
Oh, okay. I think they have an episode in here where they beef, actually.
I feel like it, and I'm just thinking about it. But they tied Gorilla Grodd's like ape history into Atlantis at DC.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they like said that the apes were like Basically, the servants of the Atlanteans.
Oh no! Wow.
Oh, and then they started getting smarter and they broke free and they kind of like moved on into their own little space. But yeah, they had some connection. um,
Wow.
so he's been like Grodd has been a villain of Aquaman before, and so like anytime I see Grodd, I'm like I don't know, he just don't do it for me. But then Ultra Humanite pops up because I used to get them confused a lot all the time too. I'd be like,
Definitely.
oh, this is the same person, but then when Ultra Humanite shows up, I'd be like, no, I actually like this one. He's not that one.
Do you think he should have any kind of like telepathic powers or anything like that, or should they just leave it just to Grodd?
I mean, I'm never gonna say no to someone getting telepathy. I don't know.
I knew I should have said that. I knew that when that was going to be your answer as soon as I said
I
it.
would support a telepath. I don't know what to tell you. It's just neat.
I mean, I wouldn't be mad at what happening. Maybe that would be something where him and Grodd kind of beef over it. But what did you think about all of the Injustice gang kind of coming together? Lex even, telling everybody, I want you guys to help me take out the Justice League after learning he had cancer.
I felt it was all very like in line. Lex is vengeful, petty. Tell him he's dying. He's gonna take us to the next level. I like seeing a lot of the villains. The team working together was cool. Like you said, it was a little bleak. It was a little sad. It felt a little down. But I'm excited to get to like the next, so we can get back to our heroes. I'm learning a little bit more about them in this world.
Yeah, I guess it's a way for it to be kind of like a pullover episode because we did, the league, the characters all coming together. Then we broke down with John. Then we broke down with Aquaman.
I was about to say they've been
Um,
doing a lot. People hands been
yeah,
getting cut off, and
baby's almost burning alive. Yeah,
it's stressful. Yes, let us go beat up some people on the street for a little bit.
that's fine. That's fair. Um, all right. Well, that is the end of this. Next week we'll be watching episodes 10 and 11. That, yeah, yeah. Next week is 10 and 11, and those are the Paradise Lost episodes where Arisha and Wonder
Queen.
Woman
Oh,
focus.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah, so that'll be a lot of fun to see what to rewatch those. So tune in next week when we watch that. Well, that brings us to the end of the show. Please make sure you guys rate and subscribe us wherever you get your podcast. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Another Relaunch. You can watch us on YouTube at Another Relaunch TV. You can email us at anotherrelaunch@gmail.com. You can find me on most social media platforms at UncannyLZ. Keenan, where can they find you?
As always, you guys know you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Keenan Lance. There's an underscore at the end.
Pew, pew, pew. All right, y'all, let's get up out of here and we'll catch you next week.
Peace.
I'm gonna start making sound effects. Bye.